Pain heals. Chicks dig scars. Glory lasts forever.
Wow, I thought it would wait until the finals were over and the season was finished, but the WNBA CBA negotiations are heating up fast. It is going to get very, very messy. I think this maybe should be on pay-per-view, a reality show, put it on a streaming service, lock it behind a paywall because it is going to be wild. It, of course, started with fees. The Fisa Collier's prepared statement with all her allegations about things that Cathy Engelbert said. And then, of course, the media ran with it. And that's what I want to focus on right now is some in the media, because they are going to be a problem when it comes to these negotiations. Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for being here. Appreciate all your support. Hope you're having a fantastic day. Of course, shout out to the 19. Now, we know that the media has been very, very pro player, and they're going to quickly pivot with the things they say. You're not going to be able to get accurate information from them. And I think I've got two examples here for you from Shanae and Andrea as well, talking about their reactions to Cathy Engelbert and what Nafisa Collier said, and Cathy Engelbert's reaction. Andrea Carter doesn't even know what she's talking about. But I got to give you a reminder of something after we listen to Shanae talk, because I think it's really, really important. And it speaks to the problem that we are going to have with a very, very big conflict of interest, just like Nafisa Collier has a very big conflict of interest.
She said never shied away from tough situations, but unfortunately, the reality is she shied away from tough conversations, which is a negotiation. In order to have a negotiation, you have to have conversations. And I think it's apparent, abundantly clear, that there has been.
Actually, just before we get any further, because I think it's important, actually not having conversations, walking away from the negotiating table in itself is a negotiating tactic for situations exactly like this. So right off the bat, Shanae just doesn't have the qualifications or the knowledge to speak on this.
A great divide between the players and our commissioner or the league office in order to have productive conversations. And now Nafisa's statement that she made in her exit interview is accountability. WNBA players never want to throw out all the smoke. They don't. They only do it when necessary. They're always.
Wait, what now? What now? The WNBA players, they only do it when necessary. Have you been paying attention to this league? Have you been paying attention to the way these players act? Have you been paying attention to the way they talk about Caitlin Clark, the way they talk about the new fans, the way they tried to injure Caitlin Clark and get her out of the league? That doesn't even get into all the activism, especially that ramped up the last 5 years to the point where they forced an owner of the Atlanta Dream out of the league because she didn't share the politics of the player. Please, this is a complete and total lie.
Strategic. They're always calculated. We talk about the t-shirts they wore at All-Star. That was a collective decision. These are members of the executive committee of the WNBA making these statements. And obviously, they understand the magnitude of the moment. We're here at a WNBA Finals in an unprecedented year. These players are going to stand on business on the court, but most importantly, they're going to do what the W has always done. They're going to stand on business off the court and fight for what they believe they deserve. And I want people to understand, because oftentimes we mention CBA or we talk to the WNBA, we always compare it to the NBA. Well, the truth is, I said this before, comparison is a thief of joy. You think of revenue share and you're like, oh, they want the same. They want equal. No, they just want a fair share. Sure. They want to outpace inflation. They want to grow as the business grows. That is where things are at right now. So these women are smart. They've done the numbers, they run the numbers. I know this because I was previously on the executive committee, and everyone is playing their role to get to a point where they avoid a lockout, they keep this product on the floor. But in order to do that, you have to have conversations, and now it feels like it's been wasted time, and that's on Cathy, unfortunately.
Why is that on Cathy, Shanae? Now, first of all, come on. Now, let's be fair. And I don't say this to be mean. It just is the reality. And sure, there are a number of them, but all of you, let me know in the comments below. Do you think what Shanae said about the players being smart is true? When you look at, in general, I know that they're not all the same, but as a collective unit, do you think these players are smart? Do they come across that way to you? We could go on and on about the press conferences and the way I act. Hell, Macaulay Copper just did it the other day. She looked like a nasty, unlikable, petulant little child when she was asked a simple question after the game. I have not seen any evidence of this, Shanae. But here's the other thing I want to get to. This is what's really important, because this is a media member. She works for ESPN. Did that sound like a media member reporting on Nafisa Collier and her statements, and then Cathy Engelbert and the CBA. Because if you go back, because I know it upset a lot of people, I got a lot of people who said, I'm not coming back to your channel. On my initial video on Nafisa Collier, I made it very clear the issues I had with Cathy, but I also said, hey, you got to remember this about Nafisa Collier making these statements. There's this, this, and this. And there's these things that she didn't do that had to do with Caitlin Clark in the past. And there's the fact that she was completely silent. No, she wasn't completely silent. I'm sorry. The Players Association tried to get Christine Brennan fired when she asked Dejanay Carrington about the eye poke, which now, when you hear Nafisa Collier's statement, it sounds like she would have been very vocal in favor of Christine Brennan answering that question. So I gave you everything that I had on both sides, positive and negative, because that is what we should be doing. That doesn't mean people can't have an opinion, but again, she is media for ESPN. But to me, and you let me know in the comments, that sounded a whole hell of a lot about someone who was hired for the players, to promote the players, to be on the side of the players, to make a statement for the players. It certainly didn't sound like media reporting on a story and giving you the facts so that you can make an informed decision on where you fall in that. And this is the last thing I leave you. This is one of the main reasons I brought this up, but it's so important and I wanted to bring it up. Let's not forget her sister is a current player. Correct me if I'm wrong in the position in the comments below. I'm doing this off the top of my head now, and I always hesitate, but I believe actual president. But sometimes I want to say VP, but I think she's actually the president. So you have her sister. She doesn't tell you that in this bit, which she absolutely should have. Now, I think she shouldn't be commenting it at all. If ESPN's doing their job, Shanae shouldn't be allowed to comment on this. But at the very least, before that statement, she has to say, hey, you know what? I'm going to give you a pro player rant and I'm going to go off on the commissioner of this league. But by the way, my sister is the head of the Players Association and a player in the league. But you don't get that. You don't get that at all. This is nonsense. Shanae has no business. This is cowardly, manipulative nonsense that she certainly shouldn't be doing this. And then we have this from Andrea Carter.
Well, we came on camera and I was still writing because I was very interested in what Cathy had to say, but a couple of things stood out to me. When you were asked a question, you should probably answer that question. Right. And when Malika asked, did you say, and then quoted Cathy, Cathy didn't say, no, I didn't say that, right? And I think that should be the first thing. If you didn't say that, you should say that you didn't say that. And she said instead, there have been a lot of inaccurate statements, right? So now I just have questions. I have more questions because if you said it or you didn't say it, what is the answer? It's a yes or no question. And then same thing when she asked, do you think you're the right fit to continue this leadership? I think the first answer should be yes.
Right.
Right. So I'm just not feeling, I'm not feeling confidence. What word did you use? Tepid?
Yeah, tepid
that word
response,
earlier?
yes.
I'm just not feeling the confidence in those answers. Well, we came on.
Oh my goodness, Andrea, I can understand why you don't get it. I really can. I mean, it's pretty obvious to me. But to that point, obviously, I did not make those comments. I'm just saying, obviously, I did not make those comments.
To express that you are disheartened by the characterization of your conversation with Nafisa Collier. Just again, seeking clarity. Did you in fact say that Caitlin Clark should be grateful she makes $16 million off the court because without the platform that the WNBA gives her, she wouldn't make anything? And do you actually feel that way, that without this platform, players like Caitlin Clark wouldn't be making what they do off the court?
Yeah, obviously I did not make those comments. Caitlin has been a transformational player in this league.
Obviously, I did not make those comments. Now, look, we all can debate and have our opinion on whether or not you think Cathy Engelbert is telling the truth. But that's because I'm still seeing all over the place today people saying, oh, she avoided it. Oh, she didn't answer it. Oh, she said that. Look, her initial statement, it was the public relations answer and response from an adult. And I know we may not like it. And I get it. I get the whole I don't like statements that are pure PR stuff. It's kind of like the non-apology apology, when people they really, really mess up and then they're like, I want to apologize to anyone who may have been upset with what I said if I offended you. No, that's not it. We want you to actually be sorry for what you did or said, not But anyway, I don't want to go down that road right now. But you get the point. And so I know, like, PR statements, they leave us all a little but that's just the reality. And Kathy was trying to not make this into a personal apologies, but pissing contest, for lack of better phrase, right now. And I guess it's tough coming from Kathy because I know a lot of people don't like her. I've been saying since last season she should resign. I don't like a lot of things she said. So please don't get this that it's a pro Kathy thing. But I am going to do my best to be fair with all of you on both sides of this issue, because I know, because that's just the way it's done, that in the media, which is why I went to that, and from the normal people, they're going to look at it and you're going to automatically emotionally want to side with the players, which I get. That doesn't mean the players are always right. And I want this to be a fair CBA to set up the future of a successful league. And if we go overboard with what the players are going to get, that could set the WNBA up for trouble in the future. And I don't think that is what we want. Now, that got cut off, but if you want to hear a little bit
Wouldn't
of
be making what they do off the court.
Yeah, obviously, I did not make those comments. Caitlin has been a transformational player in this league. She's been a great representative of the game. She's brought in tens of millions of new fans to the game, proud of what she's put on the court. Unfortunately, the injuries held her back from a full season this year. But again, I'm not going to get into every counterpoint. It's not productive here. We're here to celebrate the WNBA finals. I think what Indiana just did was amazing with all the injuries they had and the everything they faced this year, bringing that to a Game 5 in overtime. But yeah, as I said, there's a lot of inaccuracies reported out there. And I certainly did not say that.
So there you go. Definitively, I certainly did not say it. And look, and the one thing I will say in defense of Kathy here is she shouldn't get into all the nitty gritty, because again, that's where you're getting down into the mud and you're slinging mud. And to go back to shiny Shanae there, that is not productive in terms of moving forward and getting a deal done. Now, look, I think Kathy is one of the snakes. She's just not the only snake. I don't think there are any heroes in this whole CBA negotiation. Kathy was absolutely awful last year, and she said those nice things about Caitlin now, but let's be fair, and I've said it before, she did a whole lot of and Angel Reese and the rookie class, and she did do a lot of patting herself on the back about the growth of the WNBA. Absolutely, that is all true. But this idea, again, that like Napheesa Collier's petulant, very shaded to elicit a specific reaction, prepared statement, and the fact that people acted like she just came down the mountain with some tablets in her hands. Napheesa Collier has been a snake with regard to Caitlin Clark this entire time. Let's not pretend, and I'm seeing a lot of people, and I get it. That's the PR battle, right? A lot of people are like, "Oh my God, Fia, I love her so much. This is wonderful." And I'm like, did you just like lose your mind and forget everything of the past 2 years? What have you been paying attention to? I don't recall her ever standing up for Caitlin Clark. I don't recall her last year coming out and speaking out against what Kennedy Carter did, speaking out against what Dejanay Carrington did. No, she celebrated that by trying to get Christine Brennan fired for bringing it to light, folks. She's not the good guy. Neither is Kathy. But again, we gotta be fair about this, and to do that, I will leave you with, and this is why I said Collier did not use direct quotes because she was going to deliver it in a way that made Kathy look as bad as possible. There may have been some validity and truth to the general idea of what Kathy said, but she was not giving you direct quotes. And here's why: because if we go back to this, I want to play a little of this. This is Kathy talking a little bit about
millions and
pay.
millions of dollars of endorsements. She's actually.
And hold on one sec. All right, I think we'll go. This is her talking about endorsements and rookie pay.
Well, let me clarify first, because it's proxy season, right? No CEO do you just put the base pay in there. You put their bonus, you put their stock options, you put everything. Caitlin has the ability to make up to $500,000 just in WNBA wages this year. So, of course, they're just looking at a base which is collectively bargained. And actually, it's low because she's the #1 pick. She'll make a little more than that. But she also has millions and millions of dollars of endorsements. She's actually, because she declared to become pro, her endorsements are higher in dollar value. She has a global platform now, not just a U.S. platform. So She's going to do just fine, as will the top players in the league, as every league does. Also, there's comparisons to the men. Those men's leagues are 75 to 120 years old. We're tipping off our 28th season. I would say if you looked at them 28 seasons in, we're further ahead. But I realize we still have a lot of work to do. And it's all about the ecosystem. Well, let me clarify.
So here's what's wild. And I always feel like I have to say this. I'm not a Cathy Engelbert fan. I've called for her firing a long time ago. But as the head of the WNBA, as the commissioner, this is pretty standard stuff, folks, what she's saying here. Now, we can argue about whether the pay is enough. And this, again, goes back to Nafisa Collier spinning stuff. Look at the NBA. There is a rookie contract pay scale, folks. That is part of the salary cap stuff. Now, heck, it's a lot higher in the NBA, but I think we also know the NBA does like what? 10 billion a year in revenue. Now you could get into the weeds about, well, should it be 72,000 or, 112,000 or whatever, but to make it sound like, oh, she's Caitlin Clark, so she should get a lot more. That is not how it works. And because she's Caitlin Clark, like Cathy said, she gets all those endorsements and gets that endorsement money. They're two separate things. And having a rookie pay scale, no matter who is coming in, I think it's just people are leaning to like, oh, yeah, it doesn't make sense because Caitlin Clark is so transformative to the WNBA in terms of all the eyeballs she brought that it doesn't seem bizarre, right? Like no one's ever looking at the NBA about the top pick coming in who may be very popular and have endorsements as well. Like when LeBron came in or whatever and be like, oh, how come they only get paid what the number one pick got paid the year before, who was nothing like LeBron James? That's just the reality of it. Okay. But I wanted to play this to make clear. Yeah, she did say some stuff like relative. And that's why I said Nafisa was spinning it because she made it seem like Cathy was being very condescending and playing down Caitlin about, oh, she should be grateful. Right. But this is probably what she's talking about. And maybe Cathy said it a little differently in a private conversation, which again, Fee also shouldn't release. But there's the gist. Now you listen to the way Fee described it, and then you listen to this, and you can disagree with Cathy, that's fine. But they're two very, very different things. They're two very, very different things. So, yeah, this is going to get wild. And this is why I said what the players have going for them is the media, as you can clearly see, and the normal people watching who are always just emotionally going to knee jerk and side with the players. Um, I think Fee should be banned from the WNBA as long as she's a part of Unrivaled. I think all Unrivaled. I mean, again, people go, "Oh, well, that's ridiculous," but then you are carving out a different reaction to the WNBA, and so what you're doing is agreeing that it's not an actual professional basketball league that needs to stand on its own. It's something different, and I don't know if it's a girl power thing or whatever, but you never would see the NBA have players start a competitor league of which they are part owners and continue to be allowed to play in the NBA. That just wouldn't happen. So I think the CBA may see that as part of the things. And look, this unrivaled thing, WNBA players can't play in it. Certainly can't have a financial stake in it. That's a huge conflict of interest. And it goes back to the last thing I will leave because this got a lot longer than I thought it was going to be. It goes back to what I said about maybe trying to turn it into a developmental league for all those players, right? Like the Ari McDonald's and the Odyssey Sims and the Aerial Powers that were out of the league. Maybe they're playing in that league. Anyway, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Appreciate you checking out this video. Smash the like button, subscribe to the channel. Really do appreciate it. Go have the day you deserve.